I'm going to read you something that is not going to be surprising for really, I don't think anybody that watches my videos regularly, maybe the people that don't, but it'll be an eye opener for everybody when you really see it in context, because it's one thing to allude to this happening or to, try to pick up the pieces or you put your tinfoil hat on. But it's one thing when something is just straight up documented and spelled out for you. It just hits differently. Looking at this right here, this is coming from Forbes, so I'm not making this up. Disclosures show that Dr. Fauci household made $1.7 million in 2020, including income, royalties, travel perks, and investment gains. This is the year of a pandemic when everything really got off the ground. Last night, U.S. Senator Roger Marshall received Dr. Anthony Fauci's unredacted 2020 financial disclosures. The release following a heated Senate exchange between Fauci and Marshall, which concluded that Fauci called the senator a moron. With Fauci, he called the senator a moron. The financial disclosures contain a wealth of previously unknown information. So this is recently discovered. For example, the Fauci household's net worth exceeds $10.4 million. Apparently, people didn't know that. During the pandemic year of 2020, their household income, perks, and benefits and unrealized gains totaled basically $700,000, including federal income. So I believe his income was like $300,000 or something like that, or maybe more than that. I know he's like the highest paid government employee or something, a federal government that is, and benefits of $868,000, which is outside royalties and travel perks totaling $113,000, and investment accounts increasing by $794,000. So it looks like most of this either way is coming from the taxpayer. That is important to keep in mind there. And here are the numbers. They're compiled by the auditors over from openthebooks.com. And the analysis used previously known information plus the newly released disclosures. All right, so disclosures show $794,000 in gains in the Fauci stock, bond, and money market portfolio in 2020. The total value of Dr. Fauci's investment account was $8.4 million, and his wife's investments totaled $2.1 million. These funds were held in a mix of trust. This guy's playing the game. He's just playing the game. Mix of trust, retirement, and college education accounts. Fauci has an IRA worth $638,000, a defined benefit brokerage account totaling $2 million, and revocable trust worth $5 million. His wife's revocable trust is worth almost $2 million, and IRA totaling $120,000. Some of the right have speculated that Fauci may have profited off the pandemic. There's no need to speculate. The disclosures show he invested in fairly broadly targeted mutual funds with no reported holdings of individual stocks. Again, he's playing the game. That's all. Fauci disclosures show that he owns a stake in San Francisco restaurant Jackson Fillmore, but received no income from the restaurant, which, I mean, why would you? Previously, NIH had released heavily redacted financial disclosures of Dr. Fauci's redactations, basically, included the fund balances, so a net worth analysis was impossible. So salaries, he's making almost $670,000 on that. So he earned $434,000 in cash compensation, which of course out-earns all the $4.3 million in federal employees. The fact that there's $4.3 million in federal employees is insane to me. Between 2010 and 2020, Dr. Fauci earned cash compensation of $3.7 million from his federal employer. Review Fauci's 10-year salary history, and he's already covered that. Now, his wife is the chief bioethicist at the NIH. I did not even know that his wife worked for the NIH. And made $234,000 as disclosed in the FOIA to openbooks.com. Grady's 2019 pay was also that same amount. However, Fauci's financial disclosures only show that Grady made about $176,000 for fiscal year 2020. NIH does still not disclose Fauci's current salary or last year's salary, despite comment requests for the information. Therefore, Fauci earned an estimated total of roughly $900,000 between that period. Okay, so his perks and pensions, that's going to $200,500. He has royalties, which I know some people in the chat will look like, what is that referring to? Disclosures show that Dr. Fauci, as some people call him, edits the medical textbook Harrison's Principles of Internal Medicine and serves on the board of the publisher McGraw-Hill. In 2020, Fauci received $100,000. There's no way he's actually editing that shit, right? In 2019, Fauci also received $100,000 from McGraw-Hill for editing the same textbook in July of 2019. Fauci also received travel reimbursement, which that's not unlikely like anything. The background, as pointed out here, according to this FOIA request, copy all royalties paid to current retired NIH scientists since 2005. When the NIH will not release the information, a federal lawsuit was filed in October with Judicial Watch and production scheduled to start on February 1st. So he's gotten gifts of $13,000. So for you guys that are wondering, like, okay, where does he sit financially? Net worth, which is not like liquefied assets, people need to understand that. Combined, I guess, with his wife, he has net worth of $10 million, a lot of fucking money. He's just he's a lined up government employee, which is to be expected. And some of this stuff that has not been disclosed, I'm willing to say that there's some undershooting there because, between his books and all that stuff that he's been doing, because the pandemic has put this spotlight on this man, I'm pretty sure he's laced up with money. And most of it, if not all of it, in some way is coming from the taxpayer. And with taxpayer money, I think people have to understand you're not dealing with something that is earned. So some crackheads will look at this and say, well, you're about markets, you're about capitalism and all that. You shouldn't have a problem with how much money is made. Well, for number one, we're not talking about a market that is free. We're talking about someone that is getting laced up by stolen goods and funds by way of current generations and future. That's how he gets all of his money. The government is not a fucking producer of anything, nothing that it has, even to pay for the things that are like, whether it be war efforts or all of that. They have to subsidize that some kind of way, and they have to steal from others to get it. So they're not a producer in that regard. All the money stolen, and they don't have to earn it. They can steal it, take it off the top by, printing it, whatever. They can get the money if they need it, and then it ends up in people's like Dr. Fauci's hands or the 4.3 million federal employees that exist. Fauci is among the highest paid. He out-earns, and people have known this, I hope you know this by now, he out-earns all of the employees just by way of salary. He's been there forever. The guy's ancient. He's 80-some years old, and he's been there, a public health expert forever. Now, when you look at how these funds are diverted, you can kind of put two and two together. Not all of it's, guy provides job, he gets money from salary, and that's all that he has. No. These guys are all invested in various companies and all of that. And it's less about having an issue with people making investments and more about looking at the reality that this is a man that is lined up by way of the taxpayer. And that is a fundamental issue. And the more he makes, the more of a problem that then becomes. Definitely when you consider that the spotlight or his bottom line is benefited by way of the spotlight it is that he has, and he has gotten more of that now than he ever has had. You can maybe look back to the AIDS shit when he was wrong on a lot of that stuff as well, to look at the last time he was in the spotlight, but not like here where he becomes more of a cultural phenomena like he did in the last couple of years. I think he's basking in that, and I think that's something that benefits him a lot. And yeah, of course, people have to look at it like, who does he have other invested interests here? Is he really trying to, quote unquote, end this pandemic, or does it benefit him to perpetuate the sort of perpetual pandemic that it seems that we're in, where it's always something that has to be done under his leadership and under his advice? That seems to benefit anybody. Well, nobody other than him and his cronies. That's all I'm saying.
You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.